Hey everyone, so today we are going to continue with our complex numbers. We're going to practice some more multiplying and then we're also going to divide today. So pause the video and do these where we're simplifying the I. So always keep in mind I to the 0 is 1, right? Anything to the 0 power. I to the first is I, anything to the first. I squared is -1 and I to the third is -I. I to the fourth just brings you back to I to the 0. So remember, we divide by 4 and find our remainder. So 21, 4 goes into 21 5 times. And we have a remainder of 1. So that's our new exponent. So we just get I to the first, which is I. Done. Number 2, 47. 4 goes into that 11 times. So we're taking out 4, 11, I to the fourths, and we're left with 3. So that's our new exponent, I to the third. And then we look in our chart, and I to the third is -I. 93. Again, we're dividing by 4. So that's 23. That gives us 92. So there's a 1 left over, so that's just I to the first. And then 84, 4 goes into 84 21 times. So what's the remainder? The remainder is 0, so that's I to the 0. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Okay, so I kind of been using these interchangeably. The difference between imaginary number and a complex number. I is the imaginary number, and then a complex number includes it. So the general form of a complex number is a plus bi, where a and b are real numbers. All right. So a and b are real numbers, and then b has the I with it, which is the complex part of it. So this is just a review of the other day. So go through it and FOIL. All right, so I get 20 plus 8i plus 15i plus 6i squared. The middle two combine together, and we get 23i. And then remember, what is I squared equal to? So that's 6 times -1. So that's -6. And then we can finally combine the 20 and the -6, and we get 14 plus 23i. So it looks just like the a plus bi, and it always should. All right, so number 2, -20 plus 5i plus 32i minus 8i squared. The middle 2 gives us 37i. -8 times I squared is -8 times -1, which is plus 8. So that gives us -12 plus 37i. And I'm not really picky about this. There are some teachers that I know are about the order. It is supposed to be a plus bi, so the I is supposed to come second. If you write it backwards, I'm not really picky about it. There are some teachers that are though. Okay, so distribute. -27 plus 63i minus 9i plus 21i squared. Middle term gives us 54i. So we get -27 and then 21 times -1, -21. Combine like terms, and we get -48 plus 54i. It's not hard. It's FOIL. A little bit extra. Right. Okay. 4 minus 9i squared. Don't forget, some of you are still forgetting. This is 4 minus 9i times 4 minus 9i. So it's still a FOIL problem. Go through and do this slide. All right, so we got 16 minus 36i minus 36i plus 81i squared. That middle term is negative 72i. And then we have our 16. And then 81 times negative 1, negative 81. Put those together, negative 65. Yep. And that's our answer. Molly. 6 plus 7i. Sorry, I just had to yell at my dog. Again, just FOIL it out. 36. 42i. 42i. 49i squared. Now, I'm sure there is some kind of like trick to memorizing how to do them if they're squared, but I just think that that's wasted memorization. 36, this becomes negative 49, 49 times negative 1, which gives us negative 13. Why did I put I squared there? That was a mistake. Erase. All right. All right, last one on the slide. Okay, so now this is the hard one because it's to the third. So you're going to go through and do 2 of them and then put that last one in. So I'm going to write 1 down here. And then whatever I get up here for the negative 5 plus 2i times negative 5 plus 2i. 25 minus 10i minus 10i plus 4i squared. So that gives us negative 20i. And then we have 25 minus 4. 4 times negative 1 is 21. All right, so this is the first 2. Now we're going to do the last one. Ooh, these numbers are going to get big. All right, negative 105 plus 120i, right? 5 times 20. No, 5 times 20 is 100. Wow. 100i. Let's see, 42i minus 40i squared. So the middle term gives me 142i. And then this becomes negative 40 times negative 1. So positive 40 and negative 105 is negative 65. I hope. Yeah, 65. All right, so now this slide looks very similar. It's actually easier though. So as you go through, FOIL this out, you should notice a pattern. These all, notice, look like a dots, right? X plus a number, X minus a number, X plus a number type of deal. So that means with the dots, remember the middle terms always cancel out. So in all of these problems, the middle term cancels out. And then notice what happens. We get 121, and then negative 36 times negative 1 becomes 121 plus 36. So our answer is an integer. The imaginary part of our complex number disappeared. So when we multiply these, where it's the same, like a dots problem, we're going to get an integer. The I is going to disappear. So 64 plus 24i minus 24i minus 9i squared. Middle terms cancel. This becomes negative 9 times negative 1 plus 9, 73. That's a negative 1. So a lot of times with these, you can kind of just, if you recognize it, you can just skip steps. I don't even do the middle 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 times 5 is negative 25i squared. That becomes 4 plus 25. So I get 29. That's it. Now, that relationship between the binomials has a name. Those are called conjugates. I kind of remember it. It kind of reminds me of Spanish class when I was in school. So the conjugate of a complex number, it's the same exact binomial, but the sign is different. So A is the same, B is the same, but they're opposite signs. The product of conjugates equals a real number. So when we go through and multiply out, all the i's go away. Now that's important. That's going to be very, very useful for us. Okay, so this is going to be helpful when we are dividing. So when we divide complex numbers, the whole idea is we want to get the I out of the denominator, right? We want to get rid of that I. So for this first one, all we're going to do is divide like this. Break it up. So I get 2 over I minus 4. But now, see how I have the I in the bottom? We don't want the I in the denominator. We want to divide it out. So what can I multiply I by to get the I to disappear? Remember what we keep replacing. I squared equals -1. So if I multiply this bottom by I, I'm going to get -1. Whatever I do to the bottom of a fraction, I do to the top. So I get 2I over I squared, which is 2I over -1. So I get -2I and then that minus 4. And this is backwards. I don't really care that much about rewriting it. But that's it. All right, number 11. So same idea. I'm going to break this up. Now I can't divide this time, right? 8 divided by 7. So I'm going to just multiply the top and bottom by an I. So we get 8I over 7I squared. That becomes 8I over 7 times -1. 8I over -7. And then over here, the i's cancel, and we get 15 over 7. And then we can reorder it. 15 over 7 minus 8I over 7. And that's our answer. Now, you can put the whole thing over 7. If you want to do 15 minus 8I all over 7, you can do that. You can leave it separate. I don't really care either way. Those really strict teachers would make you write it like this, where it's separate, but it doesn't matter to me. Okay, now we're getting into the harder ones. So, remember, we're getting rid of the I in the denominator. How do we get rid of an I if I have a binomial? So think back, what did we write down and then not use? Conjugate. So if we multiply the bottom by 6, the conjugate, 6 minus 4I, that's going to get rid of an I in the denominator. Right? So the top, we're going to have to FOIL out. So let's do that. 14 times 6 is 84 minus 16I. Nope. 14 times 4 is not 16. Just kidding. It's 54. 56. 56. And then minus 54. That's where I got the 54. Plus 36I squared. Put those together. This becomes -36. 84 minus 36. 84. Using my calculator just in case. So 48 minus 110I all over. Now what do we get on the bottom? So this one we're going to FOIL out again. But I'm going to skip those middle two terms because they're silly. So we get 6 times 6 is 36 minus 16I squared. That becomes 36 plus 16, which is 52. So my answer, I'm going to be able to simplify. 48 minus 110I over 52. I can divide by 2. So my final answer is 24 minus 55I over 26. It's a little bit much, but it's not very hard. It's just time consuming. All right. So for number 13, whoa, what did I just do? I just moved it by accident. How did I do that? All right. So what is the conjugate of the denominator? It's -3 plus 8i. Leave the 3 negative? The 3 doesn't change. Okay, pause the video and try this one on your own. Alright, so I'm going to do this up here for more space. Negative 21 plus 56i minus 15i plus 40i squared. So that becomes 41i. And then we have negative 21 and negative 40, negative 61 over. And I'm going to FOIL the bottom. This becomes 9 minus 64i squared. So that's 9 plus 64, which is 73. Done. So FOIL the top, FOIL the bottom, simplify. Alright, last slide. Try it on your own. Alright, so the conjugate of the bottom is the top, but notice those have to be multiplied out. You can't just, it's not 25 plus 49i squared. We wish, right? The bottom we can cheat with. 25 minus 49i squared. 25 plus 49. So the bottom is 74, sorry. The top, we have to go through and multiply it out. 25, 35i, 35i, plus 49i squared. So that's 70i. And then we have 25. I'll do this a different color. So we have that 25, and then this becomes negative 49. So that's negative 24. Okay, so then we have to divide by 2. So negative 12 plus 35i over 37. Whew. It's a lot. I mean, if you have more paper, I'm kind of putting things in the corners just to avoid running out of space. Feel free to take more space up. Because I'm trying to fit it all in the slide. All right, remember from the last slide, the negative 13 stays negative 13. Okay. So, numerator. I'm going to do this. So hopefully maybe it'll make a little more sense if you guys are having trouble following me. Okay, so 169 minus 13 times 6, 78. Minus 78 plus 36i squared. So that becomes 169 minus 156i minus 36. Put those together. 133 minus 156i. So that's my numerator. And then my denominator, I'm going to FOIL that out. 169 minus 36i squared, which is 169 plus 36, 15, 205. Let me just check my calculator. 169 plus 36, 205. And I don't think you can simplify that. So 133 minus 156i all over 205. That's it. All right, practice. Practice makes perfect. Have a fabulous day, guys.